All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Robert Smirking Gun Reviews, and it's Friday, January 18th, which means it's Punisher Season 2 premiere day. Been waiting for this for a really long time. I know that it's probably the last time there's a good chance that we won't see Jon Bernthal after this season as the Punisher unless some deal goes through with another company like Hulu. Because even though they haven't said they've canceled it, it pretty much goes without saying that it'll probably be canceled probably a week or so after it begins to air. But that doesn't take away from what we've got in front of us, which is Season 2, 13 episodes. I'm a little concerned about that. As I've said in the past, that I think that they need to shrink these shows down. Like Iron Fist Season 2, I think even if you don't like it, did benefit from having a little bit shorter episode length. Because it's so hard to stretch out these stories to 13 episodes without having a lot of padding, a lot of unnecessary character plot development, just storylines that are just, to me, pointless in a story about the character. Like Daredevil did pretty good. But there's been other shows that just give way too much time to other characters that aren't necessary because they've got 13 episodes to fill. And that was one of my problems with the first season of The Punisher. Not many problems, but that was my main problem, is that they can't just have a whole episode, every episode being Punisher killing everybody that he comes across. Like, it can't just be one nonstop action scene. I mean, it could be, but they don't have the budget for that. And so the cop characters in last season, I don't even remember their names. Don't remember their names because I didn't care. Didn't care. They could have been Cop A and Cop B. They were just there because you have to, even in a comic book, you have to have people, characters that are integral to, making the main character more interesting, in my opinion. So in this, in this first episode, called Roadhouse Blues, so full spoilers if you haven't seen the episode. We didn't have all that. I think it's all coming, though. I think we're going to get all that filler coming, especially when you get to the very last minute or so of this episode. But I do like the beginning of this season. We get that quick flash forward before we get to the 24 hours earlier situation, where Frank is driving a car covered in blood with a girl in the passenger seat, and they get stopped by these people that just look like they don't look like criminals. They just look like a bunch of people from the neighborhood have guns. And Frank just unloads on him, which is beautiful. I just love it. What now? And cut to credits. That's what you do. You mow those fuckers down. So that's a great way to start. And then we get what has to happen. What has Frank been up to? Well, we don't know. We just know he's been laying low, it looks like. And he's at this bar, this country western bar out in Michigan. And we see for the first time, now I'm going to talk about this before we even get into the story. So Alexa Davalos is in this first episode. I don't know how many episodes she's going to be in, but Alexa Davalos is most famous these days for The Man in the High Castle, a show that a lot of people think I hate. A lot of people have mentioned how much I hate that show, but we're not here to talk about that. But I do want to talk about Alexa Davalos, because Alexa Davalos, if I'm even saying her name right, she's a really great actress. I really like her. I dug her all the way back from when she was the lightning bolt girl on Angel. And that's a long time ago for you kids. And already, though, in this one episode that she has, she is already, to me, if you go by the first episode of Man in the High Castle and this episode of The Punisher, she is already more interesting than she was in the Man in the High Castle. She is way more interesting here than she was on that. And going even further, she's more interesting here in this one episode than I want to say, a good chunk of the Man in the High Castle. They give her more personality. They give you reasons to really care about what happens to her. She's interesting. She's an interesting person. She may just be a bartender, and she may even be a slight cliche. The girl, that the guy meets, but she's oozing charm. She's oozing, these two have chemistry already between John Bernthal and Alexa Davalos, just being like a couple of people that meet at the bar. Then anybody that she was paired up with in Man in the High Castle for its entire 3 seasons, there was already more chemistry there in this one episode. So it shows what a good actress can do when the material is written better. That's all I'm saying, the comparison. And this is just The Punisher. Like, this isn't supposed to be like high art, like a lot of people, I think, consider the Man in the High Castle to be. So that's all I'm going to say, is I just feel like if you give Alexa Davalos good writing, make her an interesting character, you'll give a crap about her, which I did. And I was always worried about her through this entire episode, because I'm like, oh boy, this is the character that's Frank's going to use to get back in the game. Because they dig each other right off the bat. He's, all gallant and chivalrous with the jackasses at the bar that she works at. And it's not unbelievable that somebody would want to go home with John Bernthal. He's a good-looking dude. What can I say? I mean, look at him. He's like fucking chiseled out of stone. He just has that everyman kind of look, but also just, I'm straight as an arrow, but, If I was Alexa Davalos, I would be going home with him. And they go back to her place, and they get to know each other. They, even though he's hiding part of himself, but then, I think it would have been a little better if he had told her who she was after they banged. And that was like a pretty intense scene there. I loved what they did with the ring. That it was floating there in between them, and how he whips it around his arm, his neck, to try to forget, to not be distracted by who he's with right now. Like, kind of put the past over his shoulder. But then he tells her after the fact that, that his name is Frank. He doesn't go into all the details, just, knowing that he gives the line that you don't give, like, oh, my problems aren't going to end up at your doorstep. Like, which basically means you're probably going to be dead soon. But then, he sees the kid, and they go out for breakfast, and, maybe this is a little too heavy-handed, as like an on the nose. Like, Frank sees the potential in a relation, in something here, something that reminds him of family, the family that he lost, but in a good way, maybe positive way. Maybe Frank is feeling like he can actually stop just roaming around the country, just staying hidden. Maybe he can actually find a life, which we know he can't. Not yet. And I mean, in the way shows run things, you never know. He could get some, if they decide to end this on a happy note or something, and they don't continue this story in this form, maybe Frank does have a happy ending somehow. I don't know. But, he can't. And you've got this girl that was in the bar the very first night that Beth and Frank meet, who's, character with target on back. She's walking in, looking shady. If you're trying to stay inconspicuous, don't start shit with people. Don't be calling them out. I know she's worried, but, she's just not very subtle. They haven't written her very subtly, looking around like this. If you want to look normal, if you want to be inconspicuous, you pretend that things are fine. But she's not written that way, and that's their choice. I don't have to like it, but whatever. It's, things can't always be perfect the way you want them. And so she, this character has got these people after her, this guy named John Pilgrim. Now, let's talk about this. We'll talk about this in a minute. He's going to be like the bad guy, like the catalyst, the first protagonist, because, we're going to have Jigsaw and other things, but this guy, he's clearly running some, criminal enterprise, some schemes that have to do with a lot of people like this in this community. And they're after her because of what she has. And so she calls the guy that he has tied up because story, we need to get there quickly. And so they're able to track her down through this guy, and he gets offed pretty tamely, to be honest with you. And so the next night when Frank is going to go out of town, he changes his mind and comes back to the bar. And first the girl she stayed at the hotel. He comes back, she's running out the door because they found out that she's squatting in a place, and Frank's like, "Are you okay?" Blah blah blah. And he's going out of town, and he changes his mind and comes back because he has to, and the story needs him to. And as soon as he gets there and it tries to be normal, it immediately goes south. The girl knows that there's people after her. She tries to hide. She tries to get out of there, and they start roughing her up. Meantime, Frank sees that they've taken her in the back, and even though this is not what he wants, he goes to intervene. And now this is where the show really picks up in this last 15 minutes. And I got to tell you, man, it was some great fight choreography, some great action, great close quarter hand-to-hand combat, and the fact that he wasn't just straight up killing dudes. I think he was trying to restrain himself. I don't think he knows the whole story. I think if he knew the whole story, those people would all be dead. Now, that's not to say that there aren't dead people. There people do die. But he doesn't go full Punisher right away. In the bathroom scene, which is great. I mean, one of the things that all these shows do right is close quarters combat. Especially if you look at Daredevil season 1, 2, 3, whatever. They do such great work with just compressed, in a closed-in space. They do so much with what they have around them. And so Frank, first headbutts the first guy and goes in there, and these people don't know who they're messing with. And this is where, when you see all the people that he's fighting, this is where we need to talk about this, I guess, in a minute. Let's just say he whoops everyone's ass awesomely. And you might go, oh my God, he's fighting girls. Well, if girls are coming at you with knives, it's okay to flat out punch them in the face. I loved it. It was boom. These girls have got some skills, or at least they think they do. Compared to Frank, they're nothing. Dude getting his head bounced off just completely smashed through the sink. Now look, I know that that's not what would happen probably. I mean, I don't know how well made the sink was, but it's still awesome to see somebody's head go through a sink. It's awesome to see somebody get, blasted through the, how terribly made is this bathroom that he just completely destroys it when he throws that girl through the stall. It's a little ridiculous, but fun. It's fun, and I can forgive it because it's just you want to see this. You want to see maximum carnage. You want to see bodies getting piled, slammed onto the ground. And you want to see this, where he turns the knife on these people. These people don't know what they just, unleashed. And so he gets her up, and they get out, and she's not telling him what he needs to know, of course. You might want to tell the guy who's saving your life what's going on. That's all I'm saying. But she doesn't, and they get into this huge brawl out in the bar area where everybody starts to clear out. I thought it was really going to turn into everybody against Frank because they don't know him from Adam, and he's starting to take swings at people that are trying to intervene. But it doesn't. It doesn't turn into that, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, but I'm also kind of wishing it had. The more violence, the better in this. That's what it's. It's the Punisher, man. So he starts fighting the big ass bouncer from earlier in the episode, gets involved, and that poor dude dishes out some serious punishment, but he takes the brunt of so much with knife wound after knife wound. That girl jumping on him like a spider monkey, stabbing him up and ending up getting shot to death. Meantime, Alexa Davalos is trying to load a double-barreled shotgun or a sawed-off shotgun and she ends up taken around, and that's where you go, oh, but you know she got winged. If they had said that if she died from that, I'd have been like, yo, fuck you. Like, shoot her in the head or something. Just make it poof, gone, done. But, Frank ends up, finishing off all these people, and they book out. And Frank takes the girl, and puts Beth in the back of the van to try to get her to the hospital. This is where we catch up to the beginning of the episode where these people try to stop Frank, and he just kills all of them with his assault rifle or Uzi or whatever the hell that was. And then they make it to the hospital. She's taken away, and that's pretty much it for Frank's part of the story. We see now this guy, what is his name, John Pilgrim or Josh Pilgrim or Scott Pilgrim, I don't know. Pilgrim something or other. And this is where we have to talk about this. So did the people who made this season play a lot of Far Cry 5? Because that's where I think we're definitely headed. I've heard some things already. I tried not to pay too much attention to the details of these shows and stuff because I want to be surprised. In fact, I'm trying to not even watch trailers that much. Even John Wick's trailer came out yesterday, and I managed to wait till I got home from work to watch it. And I even though I didn't want to, I was like, no, just don't watch it, because every time you see something, it's going to be ruined. Just know John Wick Chapter 3 is coming out in May. So I'm going to try to stop watching trailers. But anyway, I feel like these people must have been like playing or watching a lot of Far Cry 5 videos, because that's where I think we're headed. That this guy Pilgrim is running some cult with all these people that don't, they all look like normal people, kind of like they did in Far Cry 5. Now, there were degrees of different looking people in Far Cry 5. Some of them looked like they just, walked out of the mountains from like hermits that have been lost for 10 years. But a lot of people in Far Cry 5 that you were fighting against just kind of looked like regular folk. And that's what I feel like we're here is that, this guy has infiltrated the police, clearly. They're in over their head. And this guy's running the show, and he's calling Frank, a dog that's been let off the leash, but that people that know this dog, Frank, will know his MO and will be able to find those people to help us deal with him. Which leads us to them cutting away to the cop from the FBI agent or whatever the hell she was from first season. See, that's what I mean. I didn't care. I cared so little that in the time since I watched the first season, I've forgotten her name. Because I didn't care then, and I don't care now. I know that there's no getting around it. She's going to be in it. So fine, fuck it. I'll remember her name as soon as I say it. She's drinking, standing over Billy's, recovering in the hospital of his face crumbling, his face dismembering situation with Frank at the carousel. The mask, was that mask put on him and then they drew where he's all messed up, so that they know where to look? It seemed weird. I know that they put masks on people sometimes to do some things like that, to map where the problems are. But can't you see it on his face? I don't know. But anyway, he's behind the mask. So we're led to believe that they're going to try to get in touch with her because of that. Or we're meant to believe that it's her. It's really going to be Billy/Jigsaw that they come into contact with. I'm leaning towards they're going to find him and try to use that against Frank. And the cop will probably, have to get sober at some point or whatever. I don't know. Maybe she's drinking it off. I don't know. I don't care about her. But it's a pretty good start. I'm very excited to see what happens next. I won't get a chance to watch another video and make a review until tonight because I got to go to work. So that sucks. But otherwise, if I end this now and cram in an episode, I might be able to do a second review before work. But that's stretching it thin. So I better end this now. So great first start. Can't wait to see what happens next. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.